I could tell you a whimsical tale that's probably very inaccurate.
The Sensible Sociopath.
2, 3, 1, go.
Roma, the podcast is here!
It really never gets old.
Sorry about those jokes I said earlier about babies with both sets of genitals.
What does that even mean?
You know, I'm willing to risk my life for this podcast, Roma.
Ugh, that sounds insane.
And I'm also willing to risk your life for this podcast.
There's a difference between, like, uncomfortable and creepy.
Anyways, that's why I think pedophilia is just a sexuality like any other.
It was kind of traumatizing.
White people are bad and do bad things.
Periods are not just for women.
Take off their underwear and relax with their uncle.
How fast can I eat your ass?
I mean, you know, you look at me and you go, this is an international man.
My whole life is a sham.
And you can't get the white Oreos, that's racist.
I think I counted like 25 racially charged jokes.
White privilege allows me to turn off someone's headlights.
I was just being agreeable.
Roma, when was the last time you were agreeable?
It's been days.
Also, if you try to poop really hard, sometimes you'll come.
You would think that we'd have our shit together.
It's the enema for your face.
Yeah, I was gonna say cleanings for women.
I'm not a lady, Roma.
Oh, this is so gay.
Let's try to be inclusive, Roma.
What does that even mean?
Real mature, Roma. Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Sensible Sociopath, episode 69.
Woohoo!
We have John as our co-host today.
Yeah.
Roma as our in-studio producer,
Hi, guys.
as always. Okay, today's a big day. Last week, we got some really good feedback about Father Malachi Martin and the Exorcist stuff and all the cool demonic
People love
possession.
that stuff, yeah.
Yes, people love it. So today we were going to talk about something that was actually picked by one of our big fans, Kat. She encouraged.
I think actually Sarah was
Oh,
one
Sarah. Yes, sorry. I said that last time and you corrected me last time. Obviously, it didn't stick. And that's why you hit your children.
I like it.
Yeah.
I like
Children haven't gone through puberty.
it. No, for real. Like I was telling you guys before we came on, like that. The episode last week was good.
Yeah, thank
It was
you.
really good.
It was fun. And it's always fun to have I love the paranormal and especially like the kind of a religious undertone and thing. I don't know. There's
the
something about
demonic
it.
kind of creepy.
It just fits all in together very well. The creepy, the religious, you know, because there's God and demons and angels and all that fun stuff, but mostly demons.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, dude. It's like that's. I think Malachi Martin and like the Warrens.
Yes.
Like Bob Larson, like a lot of these people. I mean, they're on to something. You know what I mean? And like, there's of course like the skeptics out there that say that possession and stuff like that it's a psychosis. But there's just a lot, like in that realm. It's just like this defies explanation.
Well, and I think that there's too many. It's just been something throughout history, and of course, there's the what is it, the Mayans or something, where they have the chiseled holes in the skulls where they they release demons out of people's heads.
I feel like the Egyptians might have done that too.
Probably.
Who knows?
Yeah. But they, so was that mental illness? Was that, actual some form of possession? But Malachi Martin was saying that 50% of the people in psychiatric hospitals, at least back in the 80s or whenever it was he did this, were in some way possessed, or infested, or what were those stages, Roba? There was
possession. There was a I forget what the first one was, but it's the infestation, possession, and what was the other one?
Expansion and contraction.
Yep,
Like,
that was it.
Ain't.
Protraction, retraction, flexion, extension. It's probably anatomical terms, right? That's probably where it comes from. No, I really there's a lot. We're talking about some pretty cool stuff tonight too. I think that last week's episode ties to a lot of stuff that you guys said you want to talk about tonight, as far as like UFOs, Mothman.
It's infestation, oppression, obsession, and possession.
Ooh.
Yeah.
Even sounds cool.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So I guess people have varying levels of that, and so.
Well, I can tell you from just for my own frame of reference, like what I do for a living. So I'm a massage therapist
and a Satanist.
Yeah, probably.
I'm a satanic masseuse.
Yeah, this is Domino sick. What is this? No, this is we're just getting started.
Scratching into the back pentagrams.
Yeah,
All right, what type of blood do you want?
Dude, but I saw like I come in contact, not so much now because a lot of my client base is set, but I've worked in other places where you kind of have like a rotating cast of characters. Maybe you got a couple regulars, but you're seeing just a lot of like randos coming through. Mm-hmm. And one thing I can tell you when working in those particular environments, you're getting, it's a lot of other people's energy, and it's like energy from other places, right? And someone's from out of town, or like like there's like a vibe based on where you're from, and like some people coming through, and sometimes there are things that I've seen in my massage practice that kind of I've seen. There's been a couple episodes that have kind of defied explanation. As far as things that have happened energetically. Now, I'm not a Reiki therapist. I can't remember if I talked about Reiki last time. Did I talk about?
I don't think so.
No.
I don't think you got into it. I'm familiar with it on a level. Yeah.
So Reiki therapy is energy work.
Okay.
So these people are like balancing your chakras and doing those things.
Mm-hmm.
I think, and again, some massage therapists out there might disagree with me. Mm-hmm. I think a lot of that is people messing with things that they don't fully understand, and opening doors, not only of themselves, but opening doors on other people.
And you're saying that people doing the Reiki are not prepared for what perhaps they are doing.
Correct. It's like the same. You guys talked a little bit about Ouija boards in the last episode, and I think that work is very similar. It's like, who's there? When you ask something really ambiguous, well, if you're playing in a cemetery, there's probably a lot of people and things there.
Captain Howdy.
Right.
For instance. From The Exorcist.
And I think that, like, and you hear a lot of Reiki therapists talk about, like, their guides, their spirit guides. Yeah. And it's just, and, my personal opinion is that 95% of Reiki therapists out there are completely full of shit.
Probably.
Like, it's just snake oil. Like, I can do your past life. I'm like, you're full of shit. Dude. You can't do any of that shit. Like, but I will say that I have met, I'd say that other 5%, they're doing something.
Yeah.
Like, and sometimes I don't think they know exactly what that something is, but something's doing them. You know what I'm saying? Something's doing them.
Yeah. Well, and maybe they're able to control it or I don't know. But
I think it's the illusion of control. I think whatever they're working with the other side is like allowing them that illusion.
Yeah.
Which feeds
which is
that
even
power,
more dangerous.
Which allows them to open themselves up more because they want more. And again, like they're shooting for that fifth and final step of what that is. Like for instance, this is probably the craziest thing that I've ever seen in a massage session that happened. And so I'll just tell here on this podcast because it's great.
Okay.
I have a friend that's a massage therapist, and they're an incredible massage therapist. Like
this story's bullshit.
Yeah, this bullshit's are full of it. Why you got me? This person's an incredible therapist. Like they're really knowledgeable. But one thing that makes them like really, really good is like they just like some therapists like are just like okay or like decent or like very good. Some therapists have like just like in any other profession. There's just some people that they're supposed to do that. They're really talented, and they're a fantastic energy worker. Like this person is not even like people that are massage therapists necessarily. Some people there are people that fill a room when they walk in. There are people that fill a space when they walk in, and there's just something about them, right?
Some fill a toilet.
Right, right. And so they go, especially after lunch, and if it's been a Chipotle lunch, in particular, on the outside of like bacteria-infested lunches, it can be good. Anyway, like this guy, he's an incredible energy worker, and I've had some energy work from this person, and I was just like, this person's legit. Like I can tell. And so one day, but they do a lot of energy work, and they're kind of like that exact person you would picture, like doesn't wear shoes in January, super crunch, like works not because they want to work, but works like I just work just enough to make it. I don't have any like that person. I actually really admire that about this person. Like they don't, like they're not really addicted to material. Like they're addicted to experience. Like I would say. Like a lot of camping, a lot of like soul searching, a lot of other crystals and everything else. Everything you would picture that person to be.
Yeah.
And there's been times that I had been on the table, and times I'm working with them where I just kind of felt uneasy. And like I'm someone that I would consider myself more of an intuitive empath than anything else. Like I'm not a psychic, but I sense stuff. Like read people. Some of that is my acting background, improv background, just being able to, and reading body language and having done that since I was like 12 or 13.
Are you uncomfortable because of them or because of something going on with you?
Right. So this is kind of where like I sometimes like I get uncomfortable with the other people.
Yeah.
Like, and I'm just like, it's like if you've ever lived in a big city and you get like the Spider-Man Spidey sense, like sometimes that happens when I go places.
Okay.
And especially with new clients and stuff like that, I'm always like reading and close and like trying to like reach out with your feelings, Luke. Like essentially to like what's going on.
So with your hippie friend though, you got that feeling with him?
Right. I've always had a little bit of an undercurrent of like there's just something
spooky about him. He's a witchy woman.
It wasn't even it wasn't even spooky. That's the wrong word. Like there was always something in the back of my mind that was just like there's more to this. That and just be aware. It wasn't like don't be afraid but be aware.
Sexual tension.
Well, maybe. Maybe sexual healing. You know what I mean?
When you get that feeling.
When you get that feeling. No, so like this there was a day we were going to do a trade, and the day before the trade they came in and like this person kind of is like just kind of all over the place and kind of floaty, and just like a lot of like body workers are this way.
Yeah.
Like they're just kind of like free spirits, and
sure.
You know, you can't really tether them down anything, but they came in and they were just different. And I was looking at them like, what is going on with this person? And so I started talking to him, and like as I was talking to him, like all the hairs in the back of my neck were standing up, and like they were having a normal conversation. I was like, why is this just me? Like, so I wrote it off, and like it was kind of like they were like, I'm not doing so well, and and like I was like, oh well, you probably look forward to the massage tomorrow, yada yada. And there have been times where I've gone and put my hands on somebody, and like all of a sudden, like in my head, I'm like, hell to the no. Like I was like, you can have from my elbows down, but like there's something, you're fucked up, and I can tell. Like I don't know what's wrong with you, whether you've got like some things in your life you need to deal with. Maybe there's trauma there, maybe there's evil there. I don't know. Like there's been people that I just, and again, it was especially working at those other places where, like you're seeing, there are people I'm just like, I hope that person never comes back in here.
Yeah.
Like, because they absolutely creep the ever-living daylights
out
of me.
And you have to be alone in a room with them, touching their nude body. Yeah.
Yeah, and so so flash forward to this next day, and so we're doing a trade, and so like this person got on my table, and they were still I was like the vibe was still there from the previous day.
Do they go first or you go first?
I think we traded on different days. I think we just had like one session because they didn't like
that kind of wreck it for the second
right.
person.
That's the thing. We're just we'll just put it on the other
or the person doing the massage the second time. Yeah.
So I started working, and from the second I was like, oh no, like I was like something. This is just off. Like, and even when they came in, they were just like it just seemed like they were unfocused, which was kind of uncharacteristic. For this
a hippie?
Person. Well, no. Even when this person was, I mean, unfocused outside the realm of massage. When this person was like in the building, professional again, just a master, just a natural. So I started working, and I had my hands on him, and I was just like, I started to feel sick to my stomach, and I was just like, what is going on? Did I eat something? Like, and I'm working through all this, and I'm not a Reiki therapist, and I'm not an energy worker. I'm just someone who's really sensitive to all of that stuff. And I'm just like, something's off. Something's up. Something's off. And I'm working.
So what happened?
So I asked. I'm like, hey, you got a lot going on today, huh? And they're like, kind of like, yeah. Which is normal doing a massage. Like you're kind of zoned out a little bit. But even for them, like I was just like, there's something wrong, and my skin was just crawling, and I was like, what's going on? And then. Like, the only way I can explain it is, you know how your inner monologue has a voice?
Sure.
And it may not be your voice, but you know that it's your voice. It doesn't sound like Steve or sound like Roma, but it sounds, this is me talking to myself and having thoughts here, and that's what my thought voice sounds like. Well, suddenly a voice came into my head, and it said, kill yourself. Kill yourself. And it was so jarring. It was so jarring to me that I was like, that's not my voice. And I was like, maybe it was not. Before I even finished it, I was like, kill yourself. And got a little bit more aggressive. And I was like,
Whoa.
oh, shit. Like, and I don't know what to fucking do.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know what I have. I'm just working.
I mean, you have one idea.
Right. And so I'm like, so I kind of say a lot again, like, dude, there's something's wrong.
Mm-hmm.
And they didn't even respond. But like, I'm like, what do I do?
Yeah, what do you do?
So what I did is in my head, like, I'm someone, I would consider myself a follower of Jesus. Like, I'm, Christian is kind of like a weird label.
Mm-hmm.
But I was like, you know what I'm going to do? I'm just going to start praying and see what happens.
Mm-hmm.
Like, but then like that voice is like, don't. And I was like, no, I'm going to. Like, and so I start praying and stuff like that. And what happens next, it wasn't like the movies, if that makes any sense.
Mm-hmm.
But I start praying and I start using like Jesus in like the word specifically.
Mm-hmm.
This person on my table starts convulsing, like just starts moving around and I'm like, dude, there's something wrong. And I said out loud, like, there's something wrong with you. I'm just gonna have to do this. And so I start saying, like, in the name of Jesus, you need to get out. Whatever's here, you don't belong.
You said it
like,
out loud now?
Yeah. Now I'm talking out loud, and this person starts dry heaving, like all of this.
Whoa.
We're in the back part of this massage business. There's nobody in session next door to us, thank God.
Mm-hmm.
And just like, and like there's nothing coming out, but they're just like, and it's going crazy, right? And so I keep going. I'm just like, you need to get out now. You don't belong here. Like, I don't know where you're from, but like, in the name of Jesus, you need to get out right now. Like, I command you to get out in the name of Jesus. You have to get out in the name of Jesus. Like, and this person was shaking, and all of a sudden it was just like, and they just went limp, right? And their head was up because they're dry heaving. Their head hit the face cradle. If you've ever been on a massage table, it has the lever down here for the face cradle. Their head hit the face cradle and like knocked the face cradle down.
Wow.
So now this person is just like dangling with their head kind of over like the edge of the garbage can.
Mm-hmm.
And like I run and get the garbage can and put it underneath the head of the table.
Mm-hmm.
And like, and I'm like, what just happened? Like, and this all happens in the span of about 3 minutes. Like, we didn't get very far into the session of when this happened.
Yeah.
And my buddy at this time still can't really form a sentence.
To this day?
Well, no, not to this day. He was at forever.
Yeah.
What about how did Malachi and Martin word it? He was like, was he always retarded?
Yeah.
Has she always been retarded?
It's the best, yeah.
But so we let this unfold.
Mm-hmm.
And I tell this person, I was like, I don't know exactly what just happened, but I have an idea of what just happened. And I know that we don't have similar beliefs here, but I was like, all this stuff you've been playing with, like, I don't think you should be playing with it.
No crap.
Like, and this person said to me, like, oh, well, I just have, like, sometimes I just have, passengers that come through. And I was like, no, you don't. I was like, you are energetically charged. Like, I don't know what that means, but like, you actually have whatever it is, which makes you a real attractive target.
Apparently.
And so I was like, whatever you've been doing, like, however you're doing it, clearly is not the way to be doing it, because this should not have happened.
Yeah.
Like,
that's
you
totally
should be
crazy.
You should be in control of this. And they still were kind of like, well, and I was like, no passengers. It's you. I was like, I don't know enough about Reiki to say what you're doing is right, wrong, or indifferent. I don't know enough.
Yeah.
But clearly you have let something either jumped off a client and onto you, or something.
Well, we can speculate all day. However,
right.
What Malachi Martin was saying was that any sort of, he was even saying, if you meditate, he said you're inviting things into you.
Or at least opening yourself up to those.
He said,
clear your
I think
mind.
he said yoga. I think he said like any of those spiritual pursuits that are not, I guess, based around Christ is an invitation, and that you have to invite them into you. And that's one of the reasons he was saying that I think retarded people cannot be taken over,
Has she always been retarded?
Because I think he was trying to figure out at that point, hey, did she invite something prior to her having some sort of mental disability, and it latching on and coming with her if she's evil now, because he's saying that you have to invite the spirits and I guess have an understanding of what you're doing when you invite them in.
They do talk about, because children and supposedly even babies can be possessed or oppressed or whatever, and it can come from lineage. So it can
Oh.
be
like a bloodline
Yep.
thing,
like
a generational curse.
Yep.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Roma, do you want to give a shout out from all of our
Let's do it.
friends?
Okay, we've got Kat, we've got Sarah, we've got Dan, we've got Steve S. Shit happens when you party naked. Margot. I think that's who's in the chat right now.
Awesome.
Yep.
Yeah, so how do we want to transition into the Mothman?
Gotcha. Let's talk about Mothman. I don't actually know a whole lot about Mothman, but the UFO stuff, I can tie this.
And maybe, Roma, do you want to start out with kind of the Mothman lore and that sort of thing? And then we can kind of go, because it kind of spreads out into some other areas. And...
Well, so it was, I mean, I know the story in general, but I've also read the book by John Keele, who came into Point Pleasant, Virginia. Actually, I think he was just in West Virginia in general and started investigating UFO sightings.
Do you want me to give a little background on John Keele?
Yeah, why don't you?
Okay. So John Keele was a guy that basically he started writing sci-fi stuff. That's where he started, like when he was like 14, he started writing to his like the local Herald or something. Became a writer. So he kept he eventually, he went to school, eventually went to became like a travel correspondent. So he'd travel all over the world. He'd send stuff back to his agent, who would then sell it. So basically he'd just pay for his own trips. He ended up being assigned to this Point Pleasant story in 1966. And so he spent kind of 1966 and 1967 in and out of Point Pleasant, West Virginia, where these weird occurrences had occurred in the months of, like, I think it was like October to into the next year, like October of 67 or September or something like that.
I think they said, let's see. Yeah, it was so 1966 is when the UFO sightings began in West Virginia.
Okay.
That kind of brought him into West Virginia. And then it all kind of came to a head when the bridge collapsed in 67.
And yeah, he had kind of always been like a witchy kind of guy. So he had done, prior to this, he had a situation in New York City where his entire apartment like lit up when he was like 18. I mean, he did a lot like early in life, and then really just kept going. So he's kind of a badass. But when he was 21, he was sent to the Korean War in 1951, and he was drafted, and then he was taken into the propaganda section.
Interesting.
And so he was a writer of propaganda, supposedly. And so he was, taught all the psychological warfare stuff. Yeah, he was a foreign radio correspondent. He went to Paris, Italy, Berlin, Rome, Egypt. And he also like wrote for TV shows and he just did a bunch of stuff, game shows and things.
Interesting. I didn't know that.
Yeah. So, I mean, he's totally legit, totally like well-founded, in, I guess, just professionalism and investigative things. He's not a lunatic.
Right. Yeah. No, we definitely have a lot of credentials.
Yeah. And so then, in 66, he was commissioned to write an article on UFOs. And then kind of just got hooked on the paranormal and the
Well, he came in, he started doing UFO investigations, and then that kind of turned into this whole like Men in Black Mothman thing. Which so the so Mothman started showing up, I guess it was also in 66. And which also, just as a side note, West Virginia also had the Flatwoods Monster. This is in the 50s, and that's a pretty well-known case that we could potentially talk about at some point. But it's just interesting that they kind of it's focused around this, West Virginia. But so in 1966, he starts doing the UFO stuff. People start having glimpses of this. A lot of people thought it was like demonic. It was like a humanoid creature with big glowing red eyes and a wingspan, and heights varied, but usually tall in nature, hairy or feathered, and it was terrorizing people of Point Pleasant.
And the artist rendition is always very interesting.
Yeah, I'll pull some up.
Yeah. So basically a winged creature would appear and scare the shit out of people. And they said, like, when you got its eyes in the headlights or in a flashlight, that it would glow red. There was speculation it was like, giant owls or
right.
Who knows? But kind of like the Jersey Devil.
Mm-hmm.
And it seemed, I guess they were saying, I don't know if I'm ruining anything, but that it was associated with tragedies.
Yes, a harbinger of death or things of that nature, people thought.
Mm-hmm. And so there were several tragedies that happened in Point Pleasant, right?
Well, I know about the bridge collapsing.
Was that the big
That's
one?
the big one.
Yeah,
that was
okay.
the big. And afterwards, Mothman really wasn't sighted anymore. But a lot of people attribute that to the fact that everyone was suddenly traumatized by this bridge collapsing.
Mm-hmm.
So that happened in December 15th, 1967. The Silver Bridge in West Virginia collapsed. And that was 13 months after the first Mothman sighting.
Mm-hmm.
And people had been having dreams and just feelings that there was going to be a tragedy, but people were actually dreaming about the bridge collapsing, people being in the water, presence being in the water. And a lot of people attributed it to Mothman. I'm pulling up a picture of Mothman right now. Hold on.
Yeah, and they... I guess there had been something similar in Russia. I can't remember if it was before or after, but that's kind of where this harbinger of doom thing came, because they had a big, can't remember what the event was in Russia that they associated. Roma, do you know that?
I read about it, but I don't remember what it was. I didn't write it down, but I could try to find it.
Yeah.
So here's some, let's see, where's that really famous one?
And there's actually a person that got a picture of it, I believe, of the creature.
So this is kind of one of the more famous sketches of it.
Mm-hmm.
And then somebody more recently, I don't know if it was 2012, 2016, somebody had gotten pictures of a moth-like man.
I think it was 2016.
Okay.
Yeah.
I actually have a news clip if anybody wants to watch that.
Yeah, sure.
But
let's see that.
Okay. So, but it's just stills. It isn't the actual. Let's see, where are we at?
Yeah, they and I don't know, the Mothman. So it was a movie in 2002 with Richard Gere,
which is based off of the
Prophecies.
Mothman prophecies, and it's actually really there's actually a lot of information because I read John's book, and there's a lot of things in there that were in the movie. So I was surprised at how closely they followed it. I mean, obviously it's made for TV, but here it is. So it's about a minute and a half.
Mm-hmm.
Long at.
Hold on, Ed.
Yeah, and so people were saying with this there's still images, Roma?
There's still images.
Yeah. They're saying, well, it could just be
out for something other than deer when they hit the woods this week. Eyewitness News reporter Fallon Pearson shows us what else may be lurking out there too.
Up until Sunday night, he hadn't been spotted recently, but according to these pictures, the legendary Point Pleasant Mothman is back. These pictures, supposedly taken by a man who says he was driving along State Highway 2 in Point Pleasant, saw something jump from tree to tree, so he pulled off the road to take these pictures. The man declined an on-camera interview, but is adamant the pictures are real. And some locals like Carolyn Harris believe it.
I definitely know that the Mothman's real.
Harris has owned the Mothman Diner for 48 years. She also helped start the Mothman Festival. Harris said there's been too many sightings of the Mothman for her not to believe.
First responders and the church department and stuff that I talked to, that they definitely made a believer out of me.
Harris has met many Mothman believers over the
Trump
years, like the
mentioned
Smiths.
the
You have
Mothman
eyewitnesses,
in one of his
so,
tweets.
you know,
Nice.
He's like, to
yeah,
everybody,
it does have
have fun at the
potential,
Mothman
and I do
Festival or
sort
something.
of want to believe.
We asked the local Mothman
Which is pretty
expert
cool,
and
yeah.
owner of the
Little
Mothman Museum, Jeff
cryptozoology.
Wamsley, just how authentic the pictures are. Wamsley said, with modern technology, it's almost impossible to know for sure if the pics are real. But even if they are fakes, the benefits of the Mothman's legend to the town of Point Pleasant are very real.
It's a good thing. A lot of people brings a lot of people to the area.
Well, and what they were saying is that it could be an owl carrying a like a frog.
I saw. Yeah, I did see something like that.
It looks a little too convenient, conveniently splayed out like some kind of winged creature flying with legs.
Yeah, dude. So I guess my whole take on Mothman, I think when we talked about Bigfoot like several episodes back, these things I personally think that there's a lot to our reality that we do not understand. And I think that like creatures like this, like Bigfoot, like Mothman, I think that it's possible they could be demonic in nature. It's also very possible that it could be demonic / interdimensional. That either there's a veil or something where like it's thinner in certain places. Like Skinwalker Ranch would be a place like obviously the veil is super thin down there.
Which is interesting because they actually did have things. Because I know Skinwalker Ranch runs like the gambit of cryptozoology and UFOs but also during the Mothman. The whole thing that was going on, a lot of people were having poltergeist type activity in their homes, and we're also seeing these men in black who were coming around town, talking to people, sometimes being threatening insofar as saying, basically telling them to kind of shut up about what they've been seeing. They would get weird clicks and beeps on their phone, like the phones were being tapped. Really, some really bizarre things. Something else that was interesting, they were seeing all these men in black, and people were saying that they were off. There was something off about them, the way that they spoke, the way that they dressed.
I've got a lot of information about them.
Yeah,
Do you want to hear a little bit
let's go into it.
about the MIB?
Love it.
Let's see. Okay. Well, the good guys dress in black. Remember that, just in case we ever face to face and make contact. You all remember me, the MIB. Oh, sorry, I didn't really write that down.
when I was in high school, I fucking loved that song.
Fuck yeah!
I would blare
so
that
hot.
shit.
And
I had like a kick out. I had like 2 10s in a box. And I mean, like my stereo was my shit thumped, dude. You can hear me a mile away.
Yeah, I love that stuff. Everybody liked it then.
Yeah.
Oh, Sway and Liz is here. Hi, guys.
What's up? Sorry to flow like that for a little while. You just missed my Men in Black Will Smith flow. So so the Men in Black are a general term for unidentified mystery men, kind of different varieties. So you were mentioning kind of the acting weirdly and just not fitting in.
Yep.
So it's well known that they're somehow organized, but they don't know who oversees them or how they're funded or any of those things. The first guy to meet them was back in like 1950 something, I think, around the Roswell time probably. He said they travel in threes, and the guy who did it was the guy who was encountered them was scared from paranormal exploration after that.
Interesting.
So he was kind of the first guy to like go, I don't want to dabble in this anymore.
Right.
Yeah.
Like Reiki.
And so one of the things, and a lot of this is based off of John Keele, because he
he did an exhaustive research of it. Yeah.
I mean, I was watching some. He used to give lectures, and he was on David Letterman at one point back in late 80s. Not always focusing on Men in Black, but on just paranormal stuff in general. He called himself a 14N. I don't know. I guess they're people that like are these paranormal, I don't know, gurus.
Yeah.
Yeah. And something about the periodic nature of paranormal stuff. I couldn't find anything on the internet about it though.
Oh, weird.
Which is weird.
Yeah.
Yeah. So he said that there was an overlying belief over like half of the world at a certain point, and this is going back, centuries, I guess, that there was an underground king that controlled the world, and that this king had minions that would go out and execute the.
Keele said this?
Yeah.
Interesting.
But it's just a lore, I guess. So
okay.
But they said somewhere like in Mongolia or whatever that these minions of this person would go out and make sure that the things that were supposed to happen, so kind of Illuminati-ish or whatever. So he referred to like Catholics and Protestants and witches and basically every kind of major religion having these kind of devilish figures that pop up, and I'm sure they're kind of ill-defined in those so that they loosely fit into the MIB. But what he was saying is that the phenotype, like the way that they look, usually was some sort of an Asiatic descent. And so what he was saying is that there was something he would carry around these pictures. So John Keele would carry around these pictures, and he would go to all these paranormal happenings, and he would show people pictures of different like raced people. So he'd show like picture of someone from Africa, and a picture from an Eskimo, and all these people. And he said the one that was the most commonly picked by the person saying this was the person that the man in black looked like was a Swedish Laplander. And the Swedish Laplanders actually have Asian descent. So they're like half white, half, they kind of look, they have Asian features, but they're a white guy.
Okay.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
So kind of like Brandon Lee.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. So
he also said that a lot of them had odd proportions or very pointy features, pointed ears, very like pointed, like just not. Yes, he did say that they looked Asian, but he also said they looked very tan,
olive skinned.
But they almost said that they would look, Asian but white but tan. I don't know. I think it was just kind of this weird hybrid.
Where you can't put a finger on exactly what they look like, which makes sense if you're designing or whatever is going on, who knows. But yeah, so he said that there were several varieties, and some would say they had like tan but translucent skin, like these weird, and they would show up and they'd be in their black suits with a black tie, white shirt, black hat, sunglasses.
He also said that a lot of them had these really weird shoes that had thick soles on them that were odd, and not a lot of people would say that they had seen these men, and actually somebody had said that they'd seen men on the Silver Bridge the day before it collapsed. There was men up there and they had these weird shoes on.
I don't know anything about that.
Talked about it. Why. He talked about it in his book.
Did they want to look taller?
He said they almost look like moon shoes, like moon boots, like with really thick soles.
Like Kiss?
Maybe.
Like an American Oxford with Doc Martin tread.
I don't know, but that'd be cool.
And yeah, so and there were these other ones that they said would look like cadavers almost. So they look like basically just, I guess their clothes would kind of hang off of them. And he's like, it looked like someone who was alive. And that was one that he actually said he saw at one point. He saw one of those guys.
Okay.
And he, obviously didn't capture, I don't know what you would do. But these guys would show up. They would show up at these weird occurrences. They would, I guess, go to people's houses. There was some really weird shit. So I guess all of it's pretty weird. But they would show up at your house saying they were a photographer to take pictures of your children. And they would come in your house and or whatever, take pictures of them on the lawn. And then they would leave. And you'd never get the pictures.
Oh, weird.
That is if anything was ever 1980s, that would be it. You know what I mean? I feel like in the 1980s, like people are like, sounds weird, but I trust you.
All right. You seem creepy with your translucent
Harold,
skin.
he had a tie on.
Yeah, exactly. Did you see his shoes?
And a suit. Do you see the shoes? You can't buy those things down at J.C. Penney's.
Those are very expensive. Look at all that tread.
I bet he never slips in the winter.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, Harold, maybe if you made more money being a shoe salesman, maybe we could buy you a pair of shoes like that.
You don't even recognize that sort of thing. When a man with class walks into this house to take pictures of our children in their bathing suits.
You know what, Harold? I'm just going to go downstairs. I'm going to do jazzercise and forget this entire thing happened.
Yeah, exactly. I'm going to go sweat to the oldies and think about the mistakes I've made.
Come on, Richard, come with me. And she just like shows like the picture of the VHS cover to him.
Yeah, exactly.
He's closer to me than you'll ever be.
Oh my
God. You bought Betamax. I'll never forgive you.
Beta?
It's because you're a beta male.
Exactly.
You'll get it later. Beta cuck. These guys, they'd also behave very oddly. So Roma was talking about this. And there was this story apparently where they would eat and they wouldn't know how to use utensils.
Yes, I heard that.
And even to the point where one of them, the waitress, like finally came over and showed him how to cut up his food, how to cut a steak.
Yeah.
That's weird.
That's very weird. Like that you would order a steak and then not know how to cut it, but you're going to sit there and try to eat it.
Yeah, they probably like, excuse me, ma'am, I'll have the fillet mignon.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, I know that they were talking to these men in black had come to somebody's home after they had a sighting and said that he was enthralled with this ballpoint pen.
That was actually this Mary Heyer.
Okay.
She was I think she was a reporter in West Virginia.
Okay.
So this was actually during the Mothman. Yeah.
Okay.
And yeah, he came in and I guess they had like said, I don't know if there were veiled threats or things, but he was apparently like short and fat, but he didn't actually, I don't know if he was even a man in black, but just a really weird dude. And he jumped into a black Cadillac. And that's how I think that's how it was associated. Like this guy's a weirdo. He went running away and then jumped in a car and they took off. But part of what this, she was following. Yeah, he was following her, and she turned around and looked at him, and the guy's like, and then like runs, and then this Cadillac, I guess, pulled out right as he was spotted, and he jumped in it and drove away.
Oh,
and
weird.
they're like, okay, that's
not normal.
Yeah, there's something going on here. But apparently, they always drive in late model cars. So I guess when they were in like the 60s. They would be in a Cadillac from the 40s or the 50s. And that Cadillac would be perfect, like perfectly brand new. And then as I guess it was reported that they were, I don't know, I guess you suspect that or it just happened that way. As it was reported that they drive Cadillacs, they switched to Volkswagens.
I heard that.
That's
that
shitty.
Is so weird.
Little black Volkswagen.
Yeah. Do you think that, like, as I like hear this, do you think these people were time travelers?
And that's one of the speculations is, interdimensional, which you mentioned, aliens, time travelers, nobody really puts their finger on it. And that's why it's kind of like, well, who's sponsoring this? Who makes this happen? Right.
And that's kind of what anything that like is like stuff that we don't understand at this point in time, the more I've like wrapped my brain around the paranormal and the supernatural, I think that there are entities that have figured out how to operate outside of linear time. And I think that some of the UFO sightings, to be honest, it's us.
Well,
it's us like messing around. Like, let's see if we can go back to 2020. Let's see if we can go back to like, cause we're already up here. Let's see if we can go back. We'll pop our head in the door. We'll buzz the
Lightyear.
Yeah. To infinity.
Yeah.
And San Diego.
Yeah,
like
exactly.
It's just like, and they're just like flying around and hey, like let's buzz that F-18 Super Hornet.
Yeah.
Hi, Commander Fravor.
And go grab a churro.
Yep. We're gonna make you famous, and right back to the door and back to like 2300.
Well, I mean, if you think about it, back in like '96, how much better French fries were. I mean,
Dan says that a well-planned MIB prank would be awesome.
Yeah.
That would be awesome.
That would be pretty funny.
All right. get our suits on,
but
ladies and gents.
So like with Mothman, with Bigfoot, like with these things that are happening, like I think I've talked about with you guys like in previous show, like I have this theory that like even as we were watching like that news clip with Mothman, you see all like the T-shirts and the hats and the festival. I think that as Malachi Martin and some of these other like renowned demonologists and exorcists would say, like they're feeding on that, like, and like so that goes into like UFOs too, right? Because there's these UFO festivals. Like there's these people that are like, here's the Anunnaki and here's the Greys and here's like all these different like race beings that people claim to be in contact with. You know, and it's all about like focus on this so we can raise our vibration and like, you know, we're gonna enter the fifth dimension and all this other stuff that you can find just Googling this stuff all over the internet. And I think like as human beings, like when we focus on things, like when we give it our attention, it's like we are the power for that incantation. Whether it's like we power the Ouija board or we power
or like tulpas.
Religion. Right.
Do you know what a tulpa is? It's basically when a thought form creates a creature. And so people and like Mothman could theoretically be something like that if enough people thought about it, or if one person in particular thought about it, it can become its own like entity. Right. Like you can almost like your thoughts create reality essentially, right? And if you think about all of like the negative things in the world, there's a lot of negativity in the world, especially right now. Like I think we even made that reference, like it's like Ghostbusters 2, where like there's the ooze under the city. And I think that's like kind of going on in the world. And while this is just my theory, like because this is happening and it's being fueled by the internet and social media, like it's like the internet is like creating this, right? And in the sense that like even if art imitates reality, if you look at like the creation of the internet, there's like the web, right? But then there's the dark web. That's like this behind the wall of the real internet. And like I think that it's almost like spiritually and dimensionally, it's like the same thing, right? There's like the seen and the unseen. And like if we're living in this internet, in a matrix, in a simulation, whatever you want to call it, like these things that are like demons, UFOs, stuff like that, this is the dark web of our reality. I like that. Stories from the Penitentiary is here and says people have the power to manifest anything they want with the right knowledge. Yeah.
Well, and I think even if you look at things like the media and kind of what people are doing, you know, politically and things like that, it's almost like dabbling where you don't know what will come out the other side. You know, that you have these ideas and you think you're helping, you think you're whatever it is, however misguided you are, you think you're helping you're on the right side of history and all that stuff. And all of those people, the wars, the you know, there aren't like terrible cultures and people and things like that. There's ideas,
bad ideas,
yes, that people adopt and then you know, because we're all just trying to do the, you know, to be faithful, to be, you know, the right political stuff, to help the poor, to help the sick, the blind, all that stuff. You just don't know what you get out of that unless you know history, really. And that's really why we need to know.
The path to hell is paved with good intentions.
That is true.
Right. So I kind of look at it, if you want to like take the magic metaphor.
Magic Johnson.
Right. The Magic Johnson metaphor.
No, we don't call it the Magic Johnson because he has HIV.
Right. He did. He did. He's cured, baby.
Oh,
He's
yeah.
cured. If you look at like our politicians and our leaders, and leaders not even just like political leaders or, you know, presidents or prime ministers and stuff, but like cultural leaders, musicians, actors. Our leaders are like the spellcasters, right? And the internet is like the cauldron. And then like we power the internet. And
what
like,
about memes though? Where do the memes fit in?
The memes are like these weird, they're spells.
They're the most important.
Yes.
Whatever they are.
Like that's a new form of spell. It's like a new branch of magic.
They're hilarious spells.
Right?
Yeah.
Like they're hilarious spells to make us all giggle.
Yeah.
Like it's a charm. It's like in this charm school of magic, right?
Yep. Mojo bags, the mojo bags of the world.
Right. And so, so you have like these spellcasters that come up with the incantations, and these incantations are like songs, movies.
Yeah.
WAP.
Like
bills.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like
Cardi
bills.
B.
Right?
Yeah.
And like when these things catch fire, like the humans lend their attention to them and give it power. And like that's to me.
Like the Macarena.
Right.
For instance.
Everybody, like, in my head, immediately we're all just like,
Mm-hmm. Exactly.
Why am I doing this? Why am I doing this? Like, you don't know. Like, you don't know why. Like, why do you do that?
Yeah.
Like, if you like, I like big butts.
Yeah. Gangnam
I
Style.
cannot lie.
Exactly. You just, there are things that like, that catch fire.
Mm-hmm.
But I think that it's all being steered by the spellcasters.
Now, do you think that TikToks are like demonic dances that people are doing?
Possible.
Like hot dog lemonade, whatever,
It's possible.
macaroni salad.
Like, I think that it's all, I mean,
They're
like,
weird.
people have admitted that it's neuroprogramming, right? I mean, like, the creators of social media is like, yeah, we're programming you. Like, I don't let my kids have it. Like, and it's just like, but people are just willing, like, okay, I'll power the spell. I don't care.
I mean, they probably don't want their kids to be happy. That's what I think.
Maybe not.
Yeah.
And again, like, if you look at like the spellcasters and how they behave, like, it's all this amoral or flat out evil stuff, and there is this weird occult portion.
Like the Illuminati.
Yes, there is this a weird funny thing. So like at daycare today, like the daycare we take our kids to, like, send us pictures of what they're doing throughout the day, and literally I was like, I've saved the picture. But like, it's like my daughter had this weird like see-through triangle. I had it up to her eye. I was like looking through it. And the first thing that when I saw, I was like, "They got her!" I was like, "No!"
Yeah.
It's like she gonna start like doing like Masonic chair dances and stuff. I'm like, what is happening? Like, I need to I'll send it to you guys. It's
hilarious.
like her looking through this like triangle thing. I'm like,
Yeah.
No. What the shit are they
symbols.
What are they teaching you at this daycare?
Yeah.
But no, like they're the occult angle. Of like Hollywood, the occult angle of these politicians. Like, why in those WikiLeaks emails is Hillary Clinton of all people talking about Moloch?
Yeah, no, seriously.
Why? How does she know what that is?
No, they were talking about pizza parties.
Yeah, it's just like, why? Seriously,
Yeah.
like,
Don't
just
say
like,
the magic words anyway.
But again, if you say anything
Yeah.
about this, people give you that 1,000-yard fluoride stare. They don't say anything, but it's just like, you're giving me information that like. That the cauldron didn't have in it.
Well, and that's the design of conspiracy theories. Is conspiracy theories are meant to, make you less credible because they go, oh, it's a conspiracy theory. Now you're a conspiracy theorist.
Yep.
So if they can take whatever the narrative is that, they're trying to turn it into, spin it to, and you may know the truth, but. Hey, if they can just say, "Oh no, you're crazy. These people are crazy over here."
These people are crazy. You can't take anything they say seriously. But like, it's all been. I mean, if 2020 has proven anything, it's just like, dude, it's all up for play.
Yeah.
Like every card's on the table, like as a possibility.
And I think the communication between us with social media, those sorts of things is really what's the wild card in all of it, is because they don't have these direct lines of information just through certain channels, through radio, through TV, and through, media, through books.
Right.
Let's bring it back to Men in Black if you have any other information.
Yeah, I do.
Yes.
I have a lot. So they went from Cadillacs to Volkswagens. Prior to that, there was an episode in Maine, and Keele referred to this in one of his lectures, where a guy actually started shooting. He was a UFO investigator, and he started shooting at a black Cadillac.
Oh, crazy.
Turns out it wasn't full of Men in Black, though. It was full of a regular person.
Oh, no.
So to me, obviously that either shows excessive mental illness with high levels of paranoia. But, I mean, that's pretty crazy that somebody would get to that level.
Be that fired up.
Well, and what Keele was saying about, he said that when you start out as an investigator in really any paranormal field, you start out very skeptical.
Sure.
Because that's why you're there. You tend to be skeptical, and you tend to be open to things. Once you create a theory, an encompassing theory about what you are trying to research or observe, whatever you want to call it, investigate. He said that, like, he gave the example of someone that sees a ghost and then thinks, okay, telepathically, someone was thinking about that person and someone telepathically imprinted that on me, and that's why I saw them.
Mm-hmm.
You know, so that's your theory. But he said, well, then you have, this doesn't fit into that theory, so I have to make this exception.
Fit into my paradigm.
Yes, and then I have to fit in this exception, and then this exception, and this, till like it all just kind of falls apart, and you're just like spinning around trying to figure everything out. You know, you thought you had it, but now you don't. So, you know, most people that start off very logical and stuff, then pretty soon it's conspiracy theories, and it's, you know, gates with pizza and different things, you know, all over the place, and you're just like, it's all true, but I can't prove it, or whatever it is. And so, you know, maybe that's where this guy went. This guy in Maine. Yeah, he's got Men in Black following him and all this stuff, to the point where he's carrying a gun and he's willing to open fire on a black Cadillac that's driving down the street. There was also a UFO investigator that was in Massachusetts and had talked to Keele and said, I see alligators everywhere. It's like I turn on the faucet and an alligator pops out.
Oh, that's not normal.
So Keele's like, okay, he calls one of his psychiatrist friends, like that works in universities or whatever, and his psychiatrist friend was going to go over to the house, and I guess the guy was like waiting with a shotgun.
Oh, God.
Yeah, so, you know, just people kind of going off the deep end. And
well, how much is that schizophrenia, too?
How much of it has to do with crazy people getting into this sort of thing and having a screw loose versus, but it's just a couple examples of, well, these
the hysteria around it.
Yeah. So when I was talking about the photographers, there's also this a phantom meter reader. And so what this person would do, I guess they would come and they would knock on your door and they would go into your basement. And then like 2 hours later.
1983, perfectly normal, perfectly sane behavior.
Yeah, and you'd like go like, hey, are you all right? And like when you would open the door, they would either be walking out, like you know, coming up the stairs, or they would not be there anymore.
Oh, geez.
Yeah, so like you just thought this dude was hanging out in your basement for forever, and apparently, you know.
I guess it's back to jazzercise.
Yeah, exactly. Your wife's down there doing her Pilates because it's invented.
1960s.
Yeah, and so anyways, the West Virginia thing. So he went and investigated there. He also spoke of some different things that he had investigated, Bigfoot, or that he was interested in.
Right.
You know, Bigfoot, Loch Ness, skyquakes, which I guess are like in Connecticut and stuff. It's like sonic booms that occur for no reason.
Yeah, we did some of the weird sounds coming from the sky episode.
Yeah, red snow.
I never heard of that. Red snow.
Yeah, I guess it was something in, I think it was either Russia or I can't exactly remember, but I guess they were saying like, oh, Saharan desert dust got in the snow, or you know, something weird. But you know, everything they looked into didn't explain it. Raining meat in China. I guess that was a thing that happened in the 1800s or so.
I wonder what kind of meat. Or like what cuts of meat?
General Tso's. Yeah!
Hooray!
It's like hungry hippos. That'd be the best. Except you're just like stuck to everything.
Yeah,
and you're just
I'm so sleepy.
Yeah. And sticky, and so you wouldn't be able to get up off the ground. Just drowned in General Tso's.
If there was ever a way to go.
Yeah.
You know.
Got chopsticks, playing defense. Animal mutilations.
Yes, that was a thing too.
Yeah, and he was saying that was probably the biggest one going on right then, and that was from his Letterman appearance in like '88. He was just talking about how it's happening all over the world, and there's like these surgical
precision.
He said that like veterinarians couldn't replicate it.
Well, and it happens fast, and there's no blood left behind
because of the goat suckers.
Yep,
that sounds like El Chupacabra.
That is, it is. Spanish for
the goat
suckers.
Goat sucker. Oh, that's right. Yeah, I think it is.
Yeah. And he actually did not believe in the Illuminati.
Dan says the meat was pork. I don't know if he looked it up or if he's just making that up.
I mean,
so he didn't believe in the Illuminati.
Did not.
See, but when did the Illuminati come into power, though? You know.
Well, and it was in one of his lectures in the 80s that was one of the end questions. So at the end of it, he took questions, and somebody's like, "Oh, the Illuminati," and which is kind of cool in the 80s to be up on it. But he just said, I don't know if he was looking at it from more of a kind of king of the world Asian Illuminati perspective.
Okay.
You know, I mean, he seemed very reasonable for a guy that investigated all this stuff. He seemed pretty damn centered, you know, or grounded, or whatever you want to say, because he wasn't like trying to blow everything out of proportions. He's more just presenting, hey, here's stuff that happened. Whatever you think, you know, I find this interesting. So I would like to know more about maybe what he thought about aliens, because he seems to be a good resource.
Oh yeah, well, I mean, he definitely believed in them. He investigated them. There was tons of reports in that time span around West Virginia in the like 66, 67.
And one thing he did say about the Illuminati was, he said, "Oh, I would need another 2-hour lecture."
Yeah.
So maybe it's not that he doesn't have any, obviously he has things to say about it,
right?
But I think as far as like a cabal of you know, elites that are you know, calling the shots everywhere, and and he was actually saying that the people were like illuminated, that they were, you know, these powerful men or something. So maybe he had more mysticism to it that he was talking about, or you know, that he was referring to with the illumination thing. I don't know.
Well, that's the thing. So like one thing you just said there that I thought is interesting is like
the whole part I just said.
Everything you just said.
Yeah.
The whole, like, these people think that they are illuminated, or I think they're illuminated. I think that's 100% true. I think that there's a slice of the upper echelon of society that thinks they are enlightened, that thinks they are, and like I think that some of them like do occultish things that like is knowledge that maybe they have of how the earth works, or maybe they have a couple more pieces of information than the rest of average Joe or average Jane, and they use it to their advantage.
Well, I wonder how spiritual that stuff is. Like when you get to that level, you know, like the Skull and Bones and stuff like that, where they do these weird rituals where you.
I think it's very spiritual. I think that it's all based around that, and that money and power just come into play. You know, but I think that it's very. But I think it's not. It's probably more demonic than anything, you know, demigods and...
That's my opinion.
And do they know that? Is it like...
I think they do.
Yes.
You know, or are they just going through it like any one of us would? Like, yeah, guys, you know.
Maybe like, when they start.
You're my dad's friends. I gotta, you know, whatever. I gotta take part in this. He makes me go to Boy Scouts, you know. And so you're down there sacrificing goats.
Maybe some of them, but I think at a certain point, you're either all in or not at all.
Yeah. And I think that we know for a fact that like they, you know, when World War II ended, that we brought over a lot of the Nazi scientists.
Yeah, Operation Paperclip.
Yep. We know like for a fact that they were playing with the occult. We know for a fact that they were somewhat like there's speculated they were also involved with like flying saucer stuff and trying to play with that technology and
They were also searching for the inner Earth, which I thought was really interesting.
Is that kind of along the lines of like Hollow Earth theory? Yeah.
Yep.
Like I think there's something to all of that, and it's all connected. And then obviously it was tragic and horrific, the things that were done to the Jewish people by the Nazis during World War II, as far as like the medical experiments, the Mengele stuff. Like that knowledge we know we assimilated into Western medicine. Like why would they have left all that other information on the table? Things that are playing with the occult, things that are playing with flying saucers. Why would like the powers that be, for potentially like war-changing efforts or world-changing, why would they have just left it alone? And I think that there's that slice of people that are, again, they're using that, and there's some people that have like buyer's remorse.
Well, and there's Werner von Braun was the head of NASA, so he was their lead rocket scientist in the Nazis, and he helped develop the atomic bomb with what's his name? I was thinking J.P. Morgan, but it was
I don't know. Einstein.
No,
I'm just kidding.
Yeah, I am Vishnu, you know, destroyer of worlds. I have become death, destroyer of worlds.
Do you want me to look it up?
Oppenheimer.
There you
Robert
go.
Oppenheimer. Yeah, so they worked very closely together on it. So in a way, you could say, okay, well, if Japan never ceased, if they didn't stop the war, by surrendering after the atomic bombs, well,
yeah, who knows what else they had on deck?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
But I guess maybe I'm wrong about that, because I guess that was the end of World War II. So I could have swore, though, that I read that Oppenheimer and von Braun was that. But what von Braun, what the Nazis did that was amazing was the V2 rocket. So the V2 rocket used gyroscopes to long distance bomb stuff, and so the blitzkrieg on London and on Britain, where they were just firing rockets over from France and just destroying London, was all because of those gyroscope, guided rockets.
Right. Do we have time to talk about like some of the links that I sent you, Roma? Do you have those?
We've got like 15 minutes.
Okay.
Yeah.
So there's two of them. So the first clip is like there was like the guy that like was out for a cigarette and saw the UFO.
Interesting.
Yeah, watch this video.
Okay, hold on. Let me switch it over.
He was out for a Newport?
He's out doing something. But watch this. So as you watch this, you're like, okay, could be a plane, could be a little something.
Mm-hmm.
Could be like the reflection of sun went off my sunglasses. I'm trying to kill an ant, but now something's more interesting in the sky.
Mm-hmm.
What's going? Oh, look, it's a circle. Look at that. Like there's a couple points where it turns and you can see it. It's not just lights; it is a literal circle. Here, they'll show it. Yeah, they'll show a little better.
Interesting.
Oh yeah.
Right. So like when it turns sideways, you can see it. Do it. This and they're just out. They're just out there, dude. And like again, this could be like us testing tech, somebody else like coming through. Like who knows? Who knows? Like what that is? Like what is that? Like where do they go?
Yeah, that is interesting.
What's it doing?
I think that's the focus.
That's the focus. Okay.
I think that's the focus. But it's interesting though that he got the leaves in there, that the tree and the leaves, because to me that would be much harder to fake than just some. Oh, it's a blue sky, and
Exactly. So, and then the other clip, Roma, is the one of the Ravens mixed reality, the Baltimore Ravens mixed reality.
This was weird.
So watch this. This is from last season, I believe.
Okay, this is obviously CGI, correct?
This is mixed reality. Now watch this.
Good, because I didn't want you to think it was real.
This is absolutely
Everyone in the stadium is seeing this.
Oh, they're seeing this?
Yes.
Are you kidding me?
No, it's mixed reality.
How is that a thing?
Why are people screaming?
Yeah. No. Okay. So isn't that?
I would have shit myself.
No kidding.
So imagine, like when I was thinking about UFOs, and imagine, like if you were in the 1980s and you had a VCR and you saw something like that, what would you think? Like you would shit your pants. Like you would freak out. Okay. So my thought with this is, again, mixed reality. It's a spell. Like all of a sudden now, like back over the last 3 years, there's all this UFO information that's coming out. The Pentagon, late on a Friday night news cycle, was like, hey, by the way, we have a new UAP Pentagon-approved task force, by the way, just so you should know. And, like, no one cares.
Yeah.
Like, nobody cares. All this stuff is coming out. If they can do that...
Yeah.
If they could do that, imagine the spell they could create to trick all of us. Imagine... Like, if they were seeing this, what does the military have? What do these secret, like, privatized companies have?
Well, I mean, they had that deep fake of Pelosi getting her hair washed without her mask on. So thankfully, we all didn't fall for that.
Like, and my thought with it... what a moron. Like, seriously. Like, it's just like, of all the things that she could have been like, nah, this is my bad. I just want a haircut. Sorry. No one would have cared. But, like, this is, again, it's just like, has this fantastical story of, like, a hair stylist hell-bent on revenge.
Yeah.
It's just, like, stupid.
Yeah.
But my thought with that is,
which
like,
they all are, by the way.
Of course.
Because she hasn't let him work in 8-9 months.
Yeah, they're a little mad.
You kind of asked for it.
Kind of asked for it.
Yeah.
If they can do that, in a stadium.
Yeah.
And we know that we had Tupac projected at Coachella
Mhm.
that looks pretty dang creepy.
Mhm.
What else can they do?
Right.
And my thought is, with all this UFO stuff, are they just? I've thought this about Hollywood for like a couple decades now. Are they just buttering us up?
Yeah.
Why haven't they just come out and said, like, hey, we don't know what this? I mean, the fact that they've even come out and said, like, we don't know, like, why aren't we freaking out about that? Like,
Well, I think people do know, and it's.
I mean, it's almost like because it's coming out and everybody's like, yeah, we've been saying that for the past 50 years.
Yeah.
But I'm like, even that response to me, I'm just like, this is world changing information.
Sure.
Like
Yeah,
this is a
it's really-
massive shake of the Etch-a-Sketch, and it's just like the spell has been cast so well that they're like, now is the time. Like they're completely, they're powering these other spells, and they don't have time to deal with this one. So we're just gonna. My theory is that they're just gonna drop this out there.
Yeah.
And this is the time to do it.
It's the ultimate trump card, because like really once that happens, then everything else is viewed through that lens. So then what else isn't true? What else isn't, what else don't we know about? What else don't we have control over? Because right now we have control over everything. Right. We're human beings. We go to space, we come back, rockets land on their own again. It's pretty cool now. If that occurs, there's someone that is, there's something that we don't understand that has higher technology, better, smarter, faster, all those things.
Mhm.
So suddenly we're number 2 on the, on the
food chain.
On the food chain.
Right. And like, why aren't people like freaked out by that prospect?
Well, I think they are. I don't think they're freaked out by the prospect because of all of the, because of ET. That's probably the best PR that you could give for aliens. That's kind of gone now. So now we just have like Joe Rogan, and I think that's been helping to bring people into it is these high level content producers that discuss things like this and that somehow normalize it.
I think that's the big thing. It's been more normalized.
Yeah, and if you think that other people have these thoughts and experiences and or not thoughts and experiences, but they're addressing these topics. That the military, these guys, Bob Lazar, Joe Rogan, all these people are pro, aliens are real. Well, then they'll figure it out. We can all just sit back and relax.
And it's like for me, when the government started coming out and saying that, yes, there are UFOs out there, and we've been monitoring them or whatever, I'm just kind of like, yep. And I mean, that was kind of my reaction, because it's like, yeah, obviously there's UFOs out there. Obviously there's something else going on. So I guess everybody else is catching up.
Well, and what are they admitting there? They're not saying aliens are out there.
Right.
They're saying unidentified flying objects. Yeah, we know. There's cockpit recorders of pilots who know everything about aerospace.
Mm-hmm.
That's what they do. And they go, what is that?
Mm-hmm.
How did that happen? What do hey, we're going to try to follow this thing. Well, we can't, it's guys in, whatever, F-35s or whatever the highest.
That's been going on since like what, the 40s, 30s?
They said that kind of when the nuclear stuff started happening, we saw a lot more alien activity. But then there's those tapestries from the Middle Ages and things that have. So there's the hieroglyphics.
Yeah, and that's my thing is like, so if this is all capable, and if people are just kind of ho-hum about it, like what if the spellcasters are the spellcasters, like in using my theory, what are they prepping us for? Because this can't be, this is the setup punch. This isn't the haymaker. Like this is like the stiff straight, or the stiff jab follow. But what's the overhand right gonna be?
So you think there's something bigger than the aliens?
Or they're gonna use it as like the last ingredient in whatever spell they're gonna cast to like get us to do an about face, and whether that's towards like a new world order, whether it's towards like a one world, the one world government, whether it's towards like getting rid of religion, or like how are they gonna use this? Because they don't ever, again, that it's come out of our own politicians' mouth. Never let a good crisis go to waste.
Oh yeah.
Like, what if like they come out and just like, hey, by the way, there's a big armada chilling out past Jupiter, and they're on their way here.
That'd be
the quickest way. Like, people would just be like, F all this other stuff. Like, we got to be ready. They may vaporize us, but if they come on the ground, like, we're gonna let loose.
Well, I think
Kat says yes, 100%. What's the final plan here?
Well, I think that half of the world would say we have to get ready, and the other half would just burn the world down because they are like, it's the end of the world, yeah, because I mean that's kind of what's happening right now, anyways.
Sure.
Just take whatever you want. It's the purge.
Well, and that's the thing. Like, as I sit here in 2020, just as me as an individual, like I know that something's amiss. Like, because I've been following a lot of stuff for a couple decades now, but it's so well executed that even me, who's like, no, I don't know what they're doing. Like, I wish I did. Like,
and maybe that's one thing about the aliens is that nobody has control over it yet, and so maybe that's where they're just
riffing at this point, like they're trying to just like vamp and try to like figure out what the next move is, because they don't. The fact that our government came out and said we don't know what this is. If it was any other government or they would never tell us, because we would appear weak. Yeah. So the second, like last year, they were like, hey, by the way, if you have former stories, we want you to come forward and talk about it. I'm like, they don't know. Oh, no. Right? And everybody laughed at the orange lizard for forming Space Force in 2017. But that was about the same time that Oumuamua came into the solar system, went around Jupiter going one speed, and left going a higher speed. Like, Avi Loeb came in. This is all mainstream news. Oh, yeah. So Oumuamua, like, it's the first known interstellar object that came into our solar system, right? Stephen Hawking was working on it before he passed away. Avi Loeb, Harvard astrologist, I think he was on the team and helped take over that. When that thing came in, going one speed, and it was a flat, long, cylindrical thing, Neil deGrasse Tyson explained this on a show that, like, traveling that fast and stuff, did a bunch of science that I went to a state college. I don't know. Like that, it can get like over time, like it could be flattened like that. But it came in going one speed, went around Saturn and left. And Avi Loeb had said in mainstream news, we think this was an alien probe or a solar sail of some kind. And of course, science to me was like, well, like, the trajectory around Jupiter or Saturn, the gravitational slingshot pull, and I'm just like, you're just grasping at straws, dude.
Didn't you see the movie Gravity?
Yeah, seriously. Like, and you're just like, are you nuts? Like, what? That's the stupidest explanation I've ever heard in my entire life.
You got a slingshot.
Right. Meanwhile, all these big space rocks have like missed us.
They're called planets.
Right. Have missed it. Planet X came through.
Yeah.
Like came through, and like there's all this stuff going on. With now Elon Musk wants to put a bunch of satellites up there, and it's like,
oh, he already has.
He did.
Yeah. This clearly. Something is amiss. And again, like, they're going to use this, in my opinion, like, whoever they are, the spellcasters, whatever you want to call them, they're going to use this to advance what agenda. But the thing is, like, we all know we're being played. That's why in my opinion, why everybody's fighting right now. Everybody knows we're being hustled. But they all have different interpretations of who's actually doing the hustling. Right?
Yeah, definitely. Absolutely.
Like, and everyone, that's why, like, last election cycle, Bernie Sanders and Trump existed in the same election cycle. Like, it's like, we can't do this. We got to do something different. Now, they had different versions of what they could do different, but this is continued, right? And so now you have like Weekend at Biden's, to me, represents. That's what I call him, dude. That's the only way I just like, they just put the sunglasses on and prop him up, drag him around. No, he's alive. Look at him. Yeah. He can talk, and he's like, the person's 100 years about. Like, did you hear the last interview he did? I was just like, oh, I feel
the one with Cardi B.
No,
I know. I'm just kidding. Yeah. Did you actually see that?
That would blow up the internet.
Did you see it?
It was a thing.
It literally happened.
Oh, that's not a
they
joke?
Did like a 20-minute interview with Cardi B interviewing Joe Biden. The funny thing is, no one else has interviewed Joe Biden except Cardi B.
Cardi B is one of the most, she can't even form sentences.
Roma, how dare you?
I love her.
She's a WAP. Or she has a WAP. I don't know.
I love her because she's.
Do you know what a WAP is?
Yes, I do.
Okay.
Hey,
Roma,
we're running out of time here.
Roma, it's a wet ass.
Oh.
Yeah.
Dude, I saw this someone deep faked Mr. Bean's face onto her. I can't unsee it.
Yeah.
I can't unsee it. She's like if Fraggle Rock.
All right.
And someone on Sesame Street and a really great rapper. Had like a romantic tryst, She would be the.
Has she always been retarded?
Yeah, I just love her. I love her because I'm like, you are insane.
Let's do some closing stuff out here, guys.
All right.
Yes.
Do you have anything you want to throw in?
I don't think so. I think it's been a great episode.
Yeah.
A good conversation about all the things.
Yeah, we tied it all together. Like, it ended in the best way possible.
Yeah.
About Cardi B's magnificence.
Yep.
You guys can find us on Facebook, Instagram at the Sensible Sociopath Podcast.
Mm-hmm.
You can also find us on
Parler and Twitter at SensoxSteve. Mm-hmm. And please subscribe, share with your friends, and check out John's podcast. Are you still doing the...
Yes, so there's 2 podcasts I do. The Massage Maniac podcast, which is mine, where I talk about some of this stuff, and then massage, which is fun. Yeah. And then the other podcast...
Hardcore politics and massage.
Oh, dude, I talk about UFOs and all sorts of stuff on there. Yeah. And then I also do a podcast called Actor's Worst Nightmare, which essentially is a short-form improv game that I play with my improv buddies.
Oh, yeah. We need to do a little improv here in the near future.
Yeah, next time I come on, I'll bring some, and we'll do one right here.
Yeah, totally.
Might Be Wrong podcast is here. Hi, guys.
What's up? Might Be Wrong. Yeah, awesome. Well, ours comes out every Tuesday. We do the audio version of this, so if you missed some of it and you want to listen to it on your car drive, or just you can support the show by going to patreon.com/The Sensible Sociopath Podcast, and throw us 3 bones.
Yeah,
that'd
check
be
us
cool.
out.
So, anyways, it's been great hanging out with you guys on Friday.
Yeah, have a good one.
Likewise, have a good weekend.
Good night.
It's over, Johnny.
Yeah, I read a survey once that like 98% of people die.
What?
Yeah, it's pretty scary.
Europe would be a fraction of the size that it is today, if not for incest.
It's over! Nothing is over! Nothing! You just don't turn it off!
Content and stories and whimsy and a little love.
So they say the big one's coming. For California.
Rosie O'Donnell.
Was she a great big fat person?
That's right.
Have you ever seen how many clothespins you could get on your scrotum? You ever dabbled in the dark arts?
Guess what? I don't have to fuck the goats anymore.
It's actually quite a bit of fun.
Hashtag them too. I have no control over life.
If I had a keyboard, I'd be able to help you.
What dude hasn't tried to blow himself? 8 3/4 is totally fine.
They say that you can kill yourself.
Mark Hamill as a voice actor is absolutely phenomenal.
People get really, really hostile really, really quickly.
Rape and incest.
Oh, we started talking about crazy Joe Biden and they shut us down.
I got the ultra AIDS.
Nobody's got AIDS.
You're throwing off my game with your heartbeat and your talking and your breathing.
I have had to stop using my favorite poop phrase.
Why stop at 2 atomic bombs? Why don't we just do the whole team?
Is this one of them left or right-handed coffins? Oh shit. Oh, that's a dick. Sorry, kids.
I'm airing my junk out and I'm looking bold. I've always been a fan of Evan Watson. After she turned 18.
After? That's where you and I are different, my friend.
I mean, I don't have a problem digging a hole and keeping an erection.
It's all about romance.
Texting, talking, touching.
Jumper cables and proper voltage, you could have dead baby movement.
Are you guys judgmental? Me? Not so much. Bunch of Judas Priest albums. Rob Halford's pretty badass.
Yeah, I like Judas Priest.
You know he's gay.
Really?
Mm-hmm.
Wow.